Okay, welcome. I am Joel, and I'm excited to say welcome to the weekly briefing. It's that time of the week. It comes around faster and faster every week. I swear.
I know.
It can't be 6 days since we were all together, right? Now, I am not only joined by this guy, I'm going to spotlight. Wait a minute. I don't have.
I did it already.
Can you give me superpowers? I'm not able to spotlight you.
I already spotlit people.
But what about there? Oh, are we? Okay, well, I can't see that. So, okay. Well, then, sorry, let me get back on track here. So, first of all, what is the weekly briefing? This is a 30 minutes strict time slot where we get together every week to talk about a hot topic, latest trend, the hot button issue that we are hearing about in our industry or in the community. And Tim, this week is going to be, gosh, I feel like this is an old myth that keeps coming back up that we have to squash. But I think you should say hi and then let everyone know that Matt is here with us so he can say hello, and we're going to have a three-way conversation.
Yeah, I am not going to steal much of this microphone because Matt Taylor on the stage with us is a pretty big deal. You guys have been doing a follow-up. What was it, precursor or follow-up from the conversation we talked about last Thursday?
Yeah,
where you guys have really jumped into in the last 7 days, at least one workshop so far, another one coming up right after this, I believe, right? Is that when
2.5 hours? Yeah.
Matt's getting nervous because I think he's presenting the next one because he speaks Australian and we're doing it for APAC, so we can't. There'll
be a lot of swearing.
Yeah, exactly. But the thought is like, what has changed in sales? We put out there last week that, by the way, there's a moment to sell, and it is right now. And we're trying to beat the old patterns that we've put before us and see if we can't get ahead of our year by selling sooner than we've ever done before, recognizing that some of the shift has taken place. And then you guys are out there talking about, well, if you only have a short time to sell, what are you going to do? And you put some strategy together and workshop together. So Matt, welcome to the stage. Welcome to the show. And thanks for being part of all we're doing here.
Thanks, Tim. And I think, there's a Chinese proverb, which is my philosophy on selling, which is, the best time to plant a tree was 100 years ago. And the next best time to plant a tree is today.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why, and you guys are going to plant already half-grown trees, right? Isn't that some of what we're talking
about?
Shrubs.
We had a bucket of shrubs, and we're going to be sticking them in the ground.
So I'm going to say this. Joel and I went back and forth a little bit too. Like, what was the text we were going to put out there this week to explain to people what we think the problem is? And Joel, you sent me something that was just didn't hit the mark for me. And I wrote back, I'm like, we should call this a fairy tale. Like, this is make believe that you think I'm just going to share good work with people and projects are going to show up. What you and I know is 20 years ago, that is actually how you did that outreach. But it's changed. The idea of finding somebody that does good work, the internet has solved that problem. You can find people through LinkedIn and social media sites and what have you. So sales is a totally different game nowadays than it was 20 years ago. And you and Matt are talking about what is sales today and how it works. So that's my setup for you.
Yeah, well, I'll just say this, right? So I think during the 20 years that I was running a studio, this dynamic changed. Like, I think it changed on me and happened to me, because I remember in the late 90s, okay, I'm dating myself here, but the mid to late 90s, it was amazing how you could do anything with 3D animation or with visual effects. And when you would meet people and show them what you were capable of, they would be like, oh my gosh, I found you. You exist. And then you started talking about how can we work together and right, let's do this project. And I call those the glory years, the glory days of the animation, the effects, right, the production industry. And those were good years. And you could make a lot of money doing that. And then fast forward to, I don't know, I think it was, Tim, maybe around the late 2000s, right? The early 2010s, as we're now calling them. Is that right? The 10s. That Do you remember when sales reps used to say, oh, you should hire me because it's all about relationships. I'll bring you sales. It's all about relationships. And where are most of those reps today? They're gone.
Yeah, totally
Because
gone.
there's a thing called LinkedIn. Anyways, that's just one data point I would show as an example of it's not about the relationship. And it's not
But
just
let's talk about what it is. The problem was solving, right? At that point, what we were saying to the world is, hey, we're relevant, we're qualified, and I'll show you my past work to prove that we're qualified. And you're right, there's like the internet kind of solved the idea of like distributing VHS tapes around the world because nobody can find you. We can actually now find you. Instagram, like we're finding you before we knew we needed you now, right? People are like almost tastemakers and putting this out there. But Matt, like, you know, in the APAC world, what's impressive to me, the people that are not in the States that could be as relevant in a different marketplace, from one marketplace to the other, because there is, you know, like this thought process of it's all about location. And really a lot of people, you know, and studios that are running themselves out of Australia can say like, well, no, sure, it's about location. I'm in Australia and my clients are in New York and Los Angeles. So that message had to have changed in order to kind of skip the islands and be relevant everywhere, right?
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, like Fio, who's on this call, he is in New Zealand and he's doing work for American cable channels. And but then I have to terrify people in Australia saying, well, there are people in Argentina and Brazil who are doing Australian work for Australian cable channels. So I think, you know, Australians have always seen themselves as like this poorer cousin, but we've got to remind ourselves there are other cousins elsewhere who are going to come and eat your breakfast too. I think about the myth, like while I was talking about it with a studio owner here, he sent me this quote from Ogilvy and Advertising. It's from David Ogilvy's book written in the 60s, where he said, the easiest way to get new clients is to do good advertising. During one period of 7 years, we never failed to win an account for which we competed. And all I did was to show the campaigns we created. Sometimes I didn't even have to do that. One afternoon, a man walked into my office without an appointment and gave me the IBM account. He knew our work. And I think like that sort of really sums up the entire myth, is that idea of, you know, good work is this holy grail. And if we just believe in the work, the rest will follow. And I've been guilty of that. And I've sat there just, even when I was trying to work on my positioning for my studio, it was just like, it's all about the work. We're just 100% about the work. And the advertising clients say they're all about the work, but they say they're all about the work so they can go to Cannes and go to festivals. But I think for us, it's an excuse to sit behind your computer and focus on the thing you're most comfortable on, which is doing the work. Like that's your safe space. And sales is not your safe space. But when it comes to people buying, you as a studio owner, you're the one they want to hear from. They don't want to hear from a sales rep. They just feel like a used car salesman nowadays. Creatives want to speak to creatives, and they need inspiration.
So then what is it? Okay, so we're kind of establishing that the wallpaper theory of just posting images on the internet saying, look at all this great work we do, will instantly drive people into your door without any appointment and hand you the largest corporation on the planet's marketing strategy, right? Like, we're saying, no, that doesn't happen anymore. It's not about just posting your work so someone can see it. Joel, what does it come to then? Like, what is the answer, and what is sales then today if it's not introducing people to past jobs?
Well, I'll give my short answer. The longer answer we cover in this workshop. So if you can make it to the workshop that Matt and I are doing in 2.25 hours, or whenever it is, of course, please show up. But I would say this, I think it really boils down to expertise. And when I say that, I don't want people to think, oh, right, we're the experts at 3D animation. Instead, think of expertise as outcomes and results, right? This is a future that is now possible because I'm talking to you, Tim, right? You are the expert that can take me there, wherever that is. And that is, I know that's a very ambiguous and nebulous thing, but I find the studios that are entering into conversations with what I would call the very enviable buyers, they have that sort of mindset of, let me take you somewhere where you couldn't previously go, but now that we're here, we can do this together.
And so what are you selling them at? Are you selling, you're obviously not just selling, editors, commodities. You might even avoid trying to sell capabilities, right? Like a capabilities presentation, avoid that. So when you're in that problem solving on behalf of your client conversation, sales pitch, what is it you're actually selling then?
I mean, I think you're selling inspiration. I mean, I was out with a client, and we're visiting an agency creative, and I just realized that sometimes you think that there are all these great briefs and these great scripts getting written that you're not getting, but those guys, those women as well, they have to fight hard to actually even make those jobs. Like, they need to bring those briefs and they need to bring those scripts into existence. They have clients who are competing against someone in strategy who's got this data-driven marketing report that says what you need to do is just take the tagline and appeal to 6-year-olds and use the color green, and there's your campaign. But the concept of the big idea, the creative that's going to unlock this amazing world, the things that actually feed the reason for investing in beautiful creative, that's harder and harder for them to do. So they need ammunition, they need creative inspiration. And also, since going back the jobs of the agency creatives, it's harder. Like, they might be working out of house 3 days a week. Those 2 days a week they spend in the office, they're just in back-to-back meetings. I don't know how they're feeding themselves. I don't know how they're getting ideas. So when it comes to getting the new idea for that animated campaign, or the new idea for what graphic treatment is going to change their client's mind, I think anything you can give them, any way you can give them, and anything you can show them of how this happens, of what this means, of what the bigger picture of using the color orange is, like, that's gold. And that's going to help them create the jobs that you want to do.
Yeah, by the way, Matt, it's not just any color green, it's slime green if you're going to be appealing to 6-year-olds. So
that is a hot color right
it's
now.
Not just green. Come on. It took a lot of studying to get that color green.
True. And you've got to defeat a lot of data-driven analytics to get there.
Okay, so I like the idea that you're selling inspiration. It does sound a little hokey though, right? Like, what you're kind of telling me is that charismatic individuals will win all the jobs, instead of what do I do if I'm just really good at what I'm doing, but I'm not an inspiring person, or inspiring when I talk. Joel's smiling. I'm gonna let Joel answer this one, because I think he's like, Tim, you're totally right. You're not, and I do it for you all the time. So Joel, tell the people how you sell me.
No, I'm thinking of the time I once spoke in front of a group of students, and afterwards, this really shy girl comes up to me and she says, "Well, to be successful in the industry, do I have to be like you?" And I was like, "What? That is the creepiest question." But what she was asking was, "Do you need to be like outgoing and gregarious and comfortable speaking in public?" And I thought, to be honest, it helps. I'm not gonna lie. So the thing that Matt said earlier about, our comfort zone is behind our computer monitor and in front of our tablet, because that's where we make stuff and we feel confident in the work that we produce. Getting out from behind that, I think I heard this term in this improv class this past week, where the teacher was telling us, great improv is a study in radical empathy. And I thought, wow, that's it. Like, when you're doing sales, you know what you're doing? You're expressing this radical empathy. And you can't really do that behind your monitor. You can't do that from your tablet. You've got to get with people and bring that inspiration, like, hear where they at. Like, they need to be seen, felt, heard, because, like Matt was saying, they live in a really messy, complicated world, and they don't even know what great work is often. I mean, most of the time, clients are like, somebody tell me what great is. I'm too busy, I don't know, or I just got promoted, I just got this job handed to me. Somebody please tell me what to do. So inspiration, I think, is a lot of just expressing and exercising empathy.
I think my biggest takeaway from what you just said, Joel, is that you're in an improv class, and I can't wait to see you do some improv somewhere. I don't know.
He's doing improv right now.
Yeah. He has improv with us, Matt. Let's throw something at him. Let's throw him 2 words and see what he can do.
Yeah.
No. But here, what I know too is that the expression that you're talking about there, Joel, of inspiration, something that stands out, is something you can actually write in your positioning statement. And equally to an individual who's afraid to be a personality standing in front of a group of people, I think we could easily point to just as many people that when you're writing their positioning statement with them, and you start throwing out those words that distinguish them, that have character, personality, people kind of recoil a little bit, don't they? They're afraid to be that bold initially. But then once you put it out there, they own it. And when they own it, that's where you're telling somebody, this is the expertise you're looking for. I've stated it in my positioning statement. I'm clear who I am. My personality comes through and the inspiration comes through what I said when I'm out there telling you what I do and how I accomplish it. And if you say uninspiring words, like I'm a editorial company that does, 3D commercials for, like, you list out the ingredients, that doesn't sound as beautiful as saying it's a souffle, right? We all know, we all want a souffle. So why would I just tell you it's a pile of flour and sugar and whatever else is in a souffle? Water, I don't know what else is it. I don't know how to cook, but you know what I mean?
Well, I think I was finding this quote, and I'm going to tee you up, Matt. Take a look at this quote you just reminded me of, Tim. Does anyone know this one from this kind of a famous quote from Marianne Williamson? Isn't this part of what you're saying, Tim? As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. Like, as we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Like, Matt, I'm curious if that resonates with you, meaning if you as the creative leader, right? I know you're the business owner, but let's just say you're a creative leader. You are stepping into that moment, into that opportunity of, it's scary, it's exciting, it's weird, it's unknown, and you are saying, I got this. And in fact, it's going to be awesome.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I just remember some of the times when you have to shift back from studio owner brain to creative brain. And so sometimes you'd be looking at a brief and you look at it from this very practical production point of view, like, oh, that's pretty hard, and that's 6 weeks, and that's 2 weeks, and that's going to be 5 people. And then suddenly you hear a director step in and they just say this beautiful, like, this is how the job's going to go. And I suddenly go, oh my God, I've got to remember to pull my sexy pants on sometimes and just say those things which show that you believe in the potential of this job, and you know what this job needs to do, and you know where this job needs to go. And it is hard to switch back into that thing, but that's when you come back to the reason why you got into this, the reason why you had this studio, the reason why you even want to be in this business is to make this amazing stuff. And to remember that sometimes you need to just believe in your own work again and believe in what your work does for other people. It is that consciousness. It's like when you go to see a surgeon, you don't want someone to say, I'm going to remove your gallbladder and then I'm going to fiddle around there. They just want to, like, I'm going to put you to sleep and I'm going to cut you open and then I'm going to fix you up and you're going to be well again the next day. Joel's grimacing. Maybe that was, slightly wrong analogy, but sometimes you don't need to know all the specifics of what you need to do. You need to know what's going to happen at the end. You need to know that you're going to feel better than you ever did before, and you're going to be able to walk again. That's the important thing, rather than every single little thing that's going to happen while you're unconscious.
So can you guys give us a cheat sheet of what you are talking about in the workshop? For people that saw it yesterday, they probably could chime in here too.
Yeah,
and give us a little bit of information, but we're
reverse engineering the sales process. So we're starting with the goal at the end. Like, what is the goal? So basically, if you're looking at the rush to Christmas, we've got 3 months. Some people might go, oh, I don't have a sales strategy. It's too late. I've messed up already. It's like, no, it's not. You've got 3 months. You can do this. It's like, if the goal is to have an important conversation with a client who hands you a big job and you win an amazing project, how do we get there in the next 3 months? And it's coming backwards from there. And I'm basically, as we go through the reverse engineered goals of getting to that point, I am interviewing Joel with his impossible pictures brain on, and he is freestyling how he would have done this back in 2014 had he gone through the process of defining his genius, understanding his expertise, putting it out there, connecting with clients, and then qualifying a big, amazing project.
I got nothing to add. You nailed
it. And so, did Joel tell me, like, from when you were doing this yourself, You were in the hot seat, being the business owner, doing yourself. Matt, you too, right? You kind of had to play these same games.
Yeah.
You know, what is it that you now have learned and are trying to teach of like, hey, I've been there before. Trust me, this is the thing that you're going to need.
Well, I would say, I think back to like, it took me a long time, I don't know, maybe 13 or so years before the coin really dropped in the slot. And I sort of knew going into every year, the fourth quarter, like, okay, here we go. It's game on. And I had the sort of the habits and the, I guess the experience of figuring it out. But I would say since then, what's been fun, of course, is seeing that pattern and then saying, oh, I remember when I learned this myself. So I have this thought of, I think I can help other people see it too. And of course, inside of Jumpstart, where now I've done this for, I don't know, 100 or 200 different shops, there's enough pattern, there's enough data there that I can with confidence say, hey, this actually works. But I won't lie, every time there's a part of me that says, boy, I hope this works.
Yeah, right. Right.
Because I mean, I know what it's like. I mean, when you're the owner, the stakes are big, and there's always this combination of fear and excitement. And if I can empower people with what I've learned and what I've seen as a pattern working with lots of other studios, then okay, let's do this.
Yeah, and I remember how hard this stuff is. I have a flashback to this time that I was sitting there with my business partner, and my wife, who worked in marketing, was trying to help us define our positioning and what made us stand out, what was different. And my business partner just kept saying, it's all about the work. We do good work. It's all about the work. We just do good work, and good work is going to lead to other good work. And we just couldn't get past this loop conversation, which is kept. And then as I think now, what we're teaching people, we're talking about expertise and taking that customer point of view, like, what are they thinking? What do they want to hear from me? And it's like, maybe there are 3 things that I'm good at. Maybe it's, bringing brands to life. Maybe it's helping customer anthems sing, and maybe it's making dry information palatable. And if I could take those 3 things, look at one of my jobs and go, how did I do this? And what was the result? How did I do this? What was the result? That's enough. That's enough expertise to share and get people going, oh, that applies to me. I need to do that right now. And so, you don't need to be an expert in everything. You're an expert in a few things, and they're very powerful things, and they relate to what you've been doing in your company for the last 10 years. So the answer's in you. Hopefully, if people, one of the good things I hope that people are getting out of this workshop is sometimes you stress about this stuff and you put it off, and you sit there paralyzed by, this is too hard. But maybe listening to Joel rabbit fire through it and smash through this stuff in half an hour, you might jot down something and just go with it. And that might actually be the thing that unlocks a conversation in 2 weeks' time. Like, you could think about this for 2 weeks, or you could think about this for 20 minutes, and you might still come up with an answer, and that might give you something to go with. So the good thing about a workshop and being there, people, everyone's sweating it out, and hopefully trying to do it before you think about it too much, is you could trick yourself into coming up with something brilliant and running with it, and it could work.
You know what I appreciate what you guys do in a workshop is, so I feel like I'm the other side of the coin sometimes in this conversation, because I get on a phone call with a business owner. We're looking at cash flow. We're talking about the need for revenue, those things that you have to talk about when it comes to business and long-term planning. And they'll tell me like, oh no, I heard your podcast, or I watched Joel's webinar, or whatever that thing is. And their belief is, the next thing they tell me is, so I'm updating my website. And all I think to myself is, I just want to freeze that moment for them and say, I promise you, updating your website right now is not going to solve the problem you need to solve. You need to go do sales. But they want to hear that if I had magic words, now I'm done. And we're not saying that. What we're saying is a positioning statement to know who you are, how you do it, what makes you unique. That gives you the power to do all types of sales, to write the email, to do a post, to meet face-to-face, to tell somebody that you can't, no, I'm not taking your project. That's not fit for us. Or what my favorite is when people walk in the room and they tell the client, do you know what you're doing wrong? Do you know what you're missing in your presentation that you gave me that isn't going to work out? Because I'm an expert. I know what's missing. That's what we're really saying, that the positioning does is it allows you to step up into expertise that you have and therefore be heard when you speak, but you still have to speak. Please don't just imagine typing those words, posting it on a URL somewhere, that all of a sudden the Google fairy is going to drive a bunch of work to your front door. It's as magical as understanding that the Ogilvy quote, someone's just going to walk in your door and hand you the IBM contract, right?
Yeah, no, you're still going to need to write those 20 to 50 emails over the next few weeks and just kind of drum up that business. But hopefully positioning will give you that catchy subject line that gets their eye and just starts that conversation, because you don't need to write a big email. You just need to write the email.
Yeah, and inspire, right? That's what you're really saying. When you find those unique words that match your character, that play out in the long run, that create value for the clients, that's the inspiration they're looking for. That says, oh, I do it. Oh, you're the person I want to do it with.
Yeah.
That's what we're really saying when we're talking about sales specifically, is there is still work done. Let's not kid ourselves. And you guys your workshop is really saying right now, hey, there's a short cycle right now that you could probably take advantage of and beat all your competitors in the sales cycle. Let's build a worksheet. Let's do a workshop. Let's get all 60 of you together, so you're empowered to do this in the next 3 to 4 weeks. That's really awesome. And it's quick, like it's in short form, I should say. So it's not cutting the corners and doing it inappropriately or wrong or cheesy. Like really saying, hey, let's have a voice right now, and let's get that voice out there as soon as possible.
Yeah, we try and keep it really simple. It's actually the heart of the exercise is 8 boxes that you fill out. It's like, here are the 4 things that you need to have in place, and then here are the 4 action steps that you're going to do over the next few weeks, and then it's time to execute.
And beyond that, you guys are also, Joel, I think I heard this morning on the Rev Think call that you're saying, hey, if you want to do a one-on-one, I'd be happy to jump on a call. There is Jumpstart coming up in the near cycle. Can't remember how far away that is, if it's 2 weeks from now or whatever, but there are things that actually, if you don't really know all the pieces, we can actually jumpstart that into your life a little bit too.
Yeah, that's, I mean, this in a way is like a warm up for both Matt and I, because Matt is running the first Australia Asia Jumpstart, which is awesome. But I think it starts in 1 week. I think it starts on the 20th.
Wow, that's awesome, Matt.
If I'm speaking in turn, somebody tell me. But yes, for the next week, Matt and I are happy. We've carved out time to do one-on-one strategy sessions, just to say like, hey, if you want to process after the workshop specifically about your situation, hop on a call for 30 minutes. We'll just work through the worksheet with you, help you apply it however you can to your specific situation. If you want to go deeper and hear about what we're gonna do in Jumpstart, of course, that's all good too.
Yeah, my hidden agenda here, by the way, I'm glad we're recording this, so everyone can quote me on this 12 months from now. But my hidden agenda is, when I'm looking at that chart 12 months from now, and I said, hey, let's do something different and see if we can change the data. 12 months from now, when we see this peak that we usually don't see, I'll say like, there it is. Remember last year when we did this sales cycle early? These are the results. But I want that kind of opportunity and influence over the next 3 months to see what could happen if we put our mind to it and take advantage of something sooner than we usually do, and buy into while the buyers are hot, right? This is the selling season for you. So while the buyers are hot, start selling now, because you're going to need that revenue in January. And let's see if you can't like pile up some good Q1 work while we're at it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Particularly Australia, the whole world shuts down over January and everyone wants cricket. So you really need to pile up those acorns in December, or you're scurrying around madly in February.
What are you guys doing in January? It's like summer, not winter. Come on, son.
We watch cricket. Australians just watch cricket the whole month. It's I can't tell you, cricket is a very long game. If you think baseball is long, cricket is longer. It goes for like 3 days at a go, and it's a horrendously long game. I can't buy into it, but for many people, they need to sit in front of the TV, making sure that something hasn't happened, and they watch cricket.
This is why we're doing Jumpstart APAC, because there are cycles in this world, Joel, that you don't, I don't understand. They have like 4 different footballs in Australia.
Yeah, we can't get enough football.
Make up a different sport with the same word.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Well, Matt, go get them, man. 2 hours
Thank
from
you.
now, people are going to hear your brilliance. Love it. Joel, thanks for pulling this all together. And
Yeah.
of course, if you guys want to know more, you can join us on RevCommunity at community.revthink.com. Feel free to join us. Simply give us your email address. We'll send you a link. You're in. You can listen to the conversation. I got a text recently from a business owner that all of us would know. I promise you, we would all know this person. And he said to me, I have to say, the Rev community is an amazing place. It's so vibrant. There are people having conversations there, and I'm really learning a lot. And I thought to myself, this is awesome. This is exactly why it's here. The community makes RevThink happen. So we love you all being part of that. Please join us there. I think Joel and Matt have resources coming up in that platform, and you can learn more about us. So feel free to reach out to us, book a meeting with us, see what we can do. Thank you all for joining us today. You guys want to give some peace out before we hang up here?
Yeah.
I think you just did. We'll see some of you in the workshop. Matt, I'll see you there soon.
Totally. I posted the link. It starts in 1.5 hours if you can. Love to see you there with a bunch of Australians.
All right. Good luck, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Thanks,
See you
everyone.
guys.
Bye.